Hey everyone, guess what? We're here with more people. Dawn and Dandy Brown from Lorquin's Admiral. What a fantastic album this is. Like,
I
I, I
appreciate it.
can't I can't speak highly enough about it. It's enough alike where you're not like out in left field,
Mm.
but also enough apart where everything it has its own unique sound, which I really, really enjoy.
Mm. Well,
Thank you,
we appreciate
Tom.
it, Tom. Thanks a bunch. It's not like we mind being out in left field. We actually kind of kind of try to go in that direction often, but really appreciate the kind words. It seems like a lot of folks are very excited about the record, including us, and we had an absolute blast making it.
Awesome. So when you went started writing it,
Mhm.
like what was that like? Did you both say, you know what, we're gonna sit down and do this? Or did you have a bunch of songs together already? You're like, you know what, these would be cool together.
Well, there's a lot of tentacles that go into how the record was made, actually. Goes back to about 2017. The guys from Sons of Alpha Centauri out of the UK, they reached out to me and they were putting together a record for a project called Yawning Sons. And that was comprised of the guys, Nick and Marlon from Sons of Alpha Centauri, and the guys from Yawning Man. And so they'd done one previously, I think back in 2009. And so they decided to do another record and they reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to contribute to this collection of music?" And they sent me a few tracks and I was like, "Oh, this is tremendous. Such great aural soundscapes." And, that's what they do. And I was like, "Yeah, man, I definitely want to be a part of it." And I don't think they quite thought that I wanted to sing on it. I think they contacted me to play bass on it or guitar on it or something like that. But I was like, I really, really want to sing on these. And they were like, "Okay, let's go for that then." So I got to sing on a couple of songs on that one, and Dawn did some backing vocals on that one as well. And we just felt such a comfort and camaraderie doing that together that at the end of that project, Nick and Marlon again brought up, "Hey, let's do a full length with just this, and let's put together something with this." So we started passing riffs back and forth, and next thing you know, we had a record's worth of material, and that's basically how it came together.
It's super cool how like you start with one thing and it
Yeah,
translates to, so many other things. It's like I try to tell my kids, relationships, when you have a good relationship with someone, you never know where it's going to go. There
yeah,
might be another project in the works, or like my daughter likes to draw. And like you might have someone where you're like, oh, I'm gonna lay it out like this, and someone else comes in and goes, hey, cool, I'm gonna add blah blah blah, and all of a sudden it's this amazing masterpiece that you weren't expecting.
yeah, yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
it's all cumulative, you add to it piece by piece, and then at the end,
Mhm.
you've got this whole album.
Yeah. I do need to say, Dawn, your voice is like spectacular.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
I
Thank you
I
very
agree.
much.
I was like absolutely blown away. And of course, I love Dave Angstrom. So,
Yeah.
you know, you know his guitar playing. So like every time it came in, it's like, oh, Dave, I know that. I
You
know how
can't
you
miss
Mhm.
play.
that tone,
Yeah.
man. That guy has tremendous, tremendous tone. And I've worked with Dave since, gosh, 1995. I helped produce the first Superfuzz record.
Yeah.
And from the moment I heard that guy play, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is incredible. He's one of the best, just where he goes with everything, not just tone, but he just has a sense for what fits the song.
Yeah.
And that's just key."
He is, and what a soulful player too.
Indeed.
Mhm.
Um, and one of
Indeed.
the nicest people in the world. Like,
Yeah. 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 Like I said, I've known Dave a long time and we've been best buddies for many, many years and worked on a lot of projects together. I think every time he does something, he finds a scrap for me and throws me on one of his records. And we do the same, with Fizz Fuzz or something else like that. We'll give him a call and say, "Hey, this song needs a lead." And he's always so gracious and ready to step up and do something and help us out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so how did you and Dave meet originally?
Oh my goodness. Well, in the early 90s, I was playing in a band called Doc Ellis out of Cincinnati. And Doc Ellis, we did some things with that band. It didn't quite, it kind of petered out towards the end, but, we ended up signing a developmental deal with Capitol. And we did an album for them that they ended up not enjoying that much, so they didn't release it. But they we made enough out of that developmental deal that I was able to open a recording studio. And so I knew of Dave, and Dave knew of Doc Ellis, and we ended up doing a couple of shows together. And that really kind of went over the hump once he was doing that first Superfuzz record. And that's when we really developed a much, much closer friendship.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's so we look back at it now and it's like, man, that was
Mhm.
so long ago. But,
Don't thank you.
but
Well,
the
yeah,
like
I guess it is.
but those memories are like it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah. I grew up in Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky. I spent most of my uh, early adult years living in Covington and Newport, and I ended up getting an undergrad degree from the University of Cincinnati. And my mother's family, she's from Southern Kentucky. She's from Barboursville, and spent some time in Louisville, as a matter of fact. Actually. Did a show there one time, opening up for Blue Oyster Cult back in '95. And that seems like forever ago too.
Yeah,
But you're right. Yeah, it seems like a long time ago, but then again, it seems like yesterday in a lot of ways.
yeah, man. So many great memories from specifically like the 90s. It was such a I think such a wild time that had just some amazing music that came out of it.
I agree. I agree.
Man,
I think every era, though, I won't just limit it to the '90s because there's great music happening now too, man.
absolutely 100%.
Yeah, yeah. some of
Yeah,
my favorite some of my favorite bands ever, I've discovered within the past, 4 or 5 years. So, I think it's always going, as long as there's people out there picking up guitars and wanting to create something and touch people with the message.
Mhm.
absolutely. I'm real big on like I'm gonna call it independent, but like the underground, music.
Hmm.
Because I feel like in the underground, that's the stuff that's on the cutting edge. You
Yeah,
find the best music that hasn't been stomped on from, label execs like, oh, we need it more radio friendly. You have to do this or
yeah,
whatever. Like people are just a lot more authentic, I think.
Yeah, the underground music scene always seems to be where the frontier of, musical innovation seems to reside.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. So what are you guys listening to right now that like is really caught your attention?
Um, well, as I was saying, one of my favorite bands I've discovered in the past few years, a band called Church of the Cosmic Skull. They're out of
Mhm.
Nottingham, kind of a blend between, I don't know, Led Zeppelin and ABBA.
Mhm.
They
Oh,
have some,
Exactly.
oh, they've got some tremendous, tremendous vocals, and the production on their records is just so old school and so warm. And they just write terrific songs. And also, really, really good friends of ours. There's a band out of Bologna, Italy, called Alice Tambourine Lover. Just a two-piece, husband and wife, and boy, they touch my heart every time I listen to their
Mhm.
music.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Franco, the guitar player, he plays a dobro, and his wife Alice sings and plays acoustic guitar, and boy,
Mhm.
they create such tremendous sounds with just a two piece.
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
If you could think slide guitar with like Stevie Nicks vocals,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of what they do.
Yeah, it's got a Stevie Nicks feel, but it also has kind of a Janis Joplin kind of sound to
Mhm.
it as well.
Okay.
Highly recommended to you and your listeners. It's something else. All of their records are really, really great.
I'm gonna
And
have to check that out for sure.
another one that pops out that actually we're gonna have the luck of
Oh,
seeing at
mhm.
Hellfest this year is a band called Turnstile. And wow, those guys are something else. And it's a combination of things that I really wouldn't think I would like, but the way they do it is just so full of energy and so, so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. They I saw them at Louder Than Life a few years ago,
Oh,
and there was there was maybe 100 people at the stage,
mhm.
and everyone was totally into it. I'm like, man, this is cool. This is neat. And now they have like
Just
absolutely
blown up.
exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like their new single. I like everything they have going on. Really, you talk about albums that kind of reach into left field. They'll have some kind of they'll have stuff that
It's
uh,
like it's a unique confluence
yeah,
of elements that they
yeah,
put
yeah.
together.
Stuff that's totally accessible, but then stuff that's really kind of out there and
Yeah.
soundscapey. And, I really like what they're doing. So, like I say, man, I'm always looking for something new and something that is exciting and something that's different too. There's so many clones out there too that you got to weed through.
Well,
Some genres are
after
really cluttered.
so many years of music, it's really hard, I think, for a lot of artists or for most people to make something that is completely unique or that
Mm,
brings in those unique elements. So when you have the opportunity to catch a band and you're like, oh, I didn't expect them to do this or
yeah,
to incorporate that, it's refreshing, you know?
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And people love to reiterate, the sounds that they love, but it's also, important to be additive, you know,
Hmm.
and contribute new elements to sounds that you've already heard.
Hmm.
For sure. So what about you, Don?
Well, I mean, we already talked about Alice Tambourine Lover. That's really, I love the dobro slide guitar with the crazy vibrato of Alice's voice. I
Hmm.
think they're great. But there's also our bassist. He plays for a band called Isaac out of Genova, Italy, and they tune way down. They're super heavy. They're like drop C, tuning, really, really hardcore stuff. If that's your bag.
Yeah.
I feel like I know them.
Yeah, yeah, I think they've been around for quite some time. They started, I want to say maybe 12 or 13 years ago, but they've been through numerous lineup changes, and I think they've really settled on the best of all worlds with what they've got going right now. And they've been touring pretty extensively throughout Europe, and I think they're actually coming to the States for a few shows early next year. Great guys, great band, definitely hit you right in the chest. They got something going on.
Well, hopefully they don't have any issues with their visas. That seems to be the big,
Mm,
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Folks are having a hard time. It's a strange world right now. There's no
yeah,
doubt about it. And obviously, some things are going on in the world right now are unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. Um, but we shall persevere. There's no doubt about it.
that's exactly it. Yep. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world. We got to keep chugging along, you know?
yeah, the show must go on.
Yeah. Um, so I also have to say, Dawn, I absolutely love your photography.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really working on photographs like 24/7 these days. I work at a photo shop where I'm the lab technician. So I develop people's film all day long. I scan it, I print from it, I Photoshop it for them. And then I get home and I do the same exact thing for myself for the next 6 hours until it's time to go to bed and do it over again. So, but yeah, I just love the process involved in making photographs. I've really been getting into analog photography recently just because I feel that humans are so well adapted to really digesting physical objects. And so when it comes to film photography, I think you can really appreciate the there-ness of the photo more so than you could in the digital realm. Not to say that digital hasn't had its advantages in the medium, but thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a genius photographer. Let me just step in here. I might be a little bit biased, but every time I look at her work, the 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 elements within her photographs that draw your attention are so unique and so enlivening. And I've loved her work ever since we met
Ah,
on the tennis court. But
well, you've been a great subject as well.
yeah, I
That's
always tell people when you're married to a photographer, you gotta learn how to take. If you're going out for a walk, you learn how to take 15 steps, and then you wait for the photo, and then you take another 15 steps, and then you
Yeah,
wait for the setup and the photo. But I love being the spotter and
yeah.
seeing the final product because she does amazing work.
Yeah, you're a great spotter too. I mean, I can be a little more brazen with my camera when I've got backup on
I
hand,
think
you
it's my
know.
hulking physique
I can
that
stand in the middle of the street if I have to.
like, stop traffic. I got to get
Yeah,
this shot. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's good to have a team member with you.
Yeah, so we'll go out. She'll grab her camera, her 4x5,
Hmm.
or her Mamiya or
Yeah.
something like that, and
Yep.
we'll go out and just look at places and take photos of places and
Hmm.
just make a day of it.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be a part of that, help her with that project and be a part of it with her.
It's really, it's really cool from the outside to watch. So my dad, I grew up in Detroit, and my dad was an auto worker for, 30 years or whatever it was. And when like towards the end of his career, he started really getting into photography, and like to see the progress of his photographs. I mean, I think he lived probably 20 years after he
Mhm.
retired, and started like a art community where
Oh,
where he was
nice.
living, and all this stuff.
Mhm.
So I say that because like I love to see what he was seeing like
Mhm.
through his eye.
Yeah.
You look at it and you try to digest like what did he see here? And sometimes it was like, man, this was just a really cool like color palette, or
Hmm.
Hmm.
the fog with the barn in the distance just looked so
Right.
awesome.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it's cool for me to like see you enjoying that, like, or doing that way before you retire, so
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah, a big part of photography and art in general is just like being your own archivist, and you kind of also have to wear a documentarian hat as well.
Mhm.
And so it's just great looking back and kind of seeing the behind the scenes of our music together
Mhm.
being solidified and archived, in my work as well.
Mhm.
It's amazing to go back and look through like just the thousands of photographs that we have together.
Mhm. Mhm.
that's
And
awesome.
just to work with someone that has such an eye for for the visual, it has come so into play with everything we've done musically, as far as videos, as far as she was saying, photographs of what we've done, and all of that document that we're creating. Not only around the bands but around our lives, and I think it's such a beautiful and wonderful art, and I'm so honored to be with someone that's so great at it.
Man, look at you,
You're
love
kind.
you
birds.
know, every time we get on an interview, everybody's like, "Hey, we don't really do relationship interviews, but go ahead."
Yeah, I'm open to anything as long as it's not bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't care
it's
about
important to our
drama and
work.
all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It plays a big
So
role in understanding our work. Sorry, go on.
now, how long have you all been together?
We've been together for 8 years,
Eight
coming up on eight
years.
years,
Mm-hmm.
married for 4.
4.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's been the most incredible 8 years of my life. All started with a challenge on the tennis court, right?
Hmm.
Dawn had a
You almost broke your finger that match.
I did. Dawn had a long
Yeah.
history of playing tennis, and I hadn't played the game in 20 years. And I don't want to say I made the mistake, but I made the mistake of challenging her to a match, and it was the most humiliating sporting attempt I think I've ever made. I mean, I was falling all over the court, but we've continued to play, and it's such a passion
Yeah.
for us. We
Luckily, you were very charming as you almost broke your finger.
and we just discovered after playing and after our matches that we just had so many common goals and so many common attitudes, and our outlook on life and what we wanted to do in the future was just so simpatico, and it was just the perfect thing for us. And suddenly it's like, well, we both play music, we both play guitar, why don't we sit down and try to do that too? And within 8 months of that, we were on tour in Italy, doing an acoustic set, and it was just phenomenal. The reception we had, and we were very, very fresh to doing that at the time, so we certainly weren't at the top of our game as songwriters together, but over the
Yeah, we
past,
were still learning,
yeah, mhm.
how our musical tastes align,
And but over the
that going.
past 8 years of writing music together and also playing tennis together, I've slowly caught up to be able to win a match or two
Mhm.
here and there, and we've definitely developed a songwriting craft together that I just enjoy thoroughly.
That's awesome. I like when there's like a relationship outside of the band. I feel like that music, there's, that added layer of whatever it is, charisma or whatever that really draws the listener in. Like
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mario and Joe Duplanter from Gojira.
Mhm.
Like, those two, they they play so well together. When you see them, it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a great foundation to build, a creative craft on top of, because there's just this level of trust that we have
Mhm.
that we're much more willing to share our ideas and kind of not have that ego in front of, to protect the idea. We're really
Mhm.
on board when it comes to using each other as a soundboard. When it comes to criticizing each other's work, we know that it's always for the purpose of producing something that is as good as it can be.
And definitely, it's the there's no competition. I can't tell you how many band situations, especially when I was younger, that I've been in where somebody brings something into the fold, and they just they hold on to it so tightly that they can't be open to some other idea or moving it off in a different direction. And part of our writing process is, okay, here's something I've got, what do you got? And sometimes the other person has something that works, sometimes they don't. But there's never any kind of competitive aspect between it. It's like, let's just work on this until it's the best it can be,
Mm-hmm.
until it feels absolutely right. And, it's totally worked for us. And I think gives us a really unique thing that we
Mm-hmm.
have with our
Mm-hmm.
songwriting and performance and everything.
Yeah, and because we know each other so well, uh, we're supportive of each other's ideas in a way that we know what the kernel of the idea is and how to really build upon it, instead
Mhm.
of, either discarding it completely and going in another direction. We can really try to, you know, push things in the direction that we think they should go in accordance to how we know each other.
Yeah, simple relationship skills, right?
yeah, it's, vulnerability, I think, at the end of the day, right? To be able to put that ego away and go, okay, what's going to
Definitely.
be best here, which unfortunately, the ego is the great ruiner of relationships.
And bands.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, a
Absolutely.
band is a marriage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a relationship of sorts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So wild to think of that. Hmm.
Hmm.
When you guys started like playing music and getting into art, did you realize that you'd have to have some business knowledge or was that like just a surprise?
Well, oh my gosh, I won't say that I've always been the best businessman for my music or for my art, because I'm often willing to sacrifice so much of whatever resources I have to push that art forward. I think I've made some wise choices business wise, but we're not the type of band, or we're not the type of artists that are out on the road 180, 360 days a year. When we do go out, we kind of make it a special occasion where we're not really worried about bringing in a huge income. We just try to break even if we can do that. But we often look at things as great musical or great art vacations as well. So I would say in our professional lives, Dawn as a lab technician, and I work for basically a nonprofit that helps, homeless people and things like that here in the city. Um, in our professional lives, I think we do pay a lot more attention to that kind of business angle. But in our art, we're always willing to sacrifice something if it means
Mhm.
something to us artistically and something we want to create. So, I don't think I really answered your question, but I think, it's a balance of how you perceive success. What is success in the end? How do you want to live your life? Do you want to hold on to every quarter, your whole life? Well, I think as you get older, that's not a bad idea, but sacrificing your whole life for the dollar, that's not our bag.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we do it because we have a certain passion for it and we love it. And we're certainly aware that if we wanted to do it in a way to where we would make money off of it, we really would have to do it 24/7 all of the time.
Hmm.
And that's a whole nother way of living that we work all the time. And so
Hmm.
um because it's a passion project, we're okay with having it be like a vacation that we can really enjoy when we do go on tour, and we have that approach to it.
And definitely, I've done projects that have been, financially successful on some level. I mean, Hermano certainly can get out and do things if we want to. There's a certain level, a certain aspect of, I won't say profit, but, financially breaking even with that band. But there's other bands that just simply hasn't happened with in my life, but I was just as dedicated to them,
Yeah.
because I love the art. That's what I love to do.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of people don't really understand. Like when you get into it, when you're doing any kind of art, it's what is the ultimate goal? Is the ultimate goal for it to be profitable or is it to be enjoyed?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And
And
I guess there's some level where you can get a little of both, but
I think the biggest part of the success is your left hand there, to be enjoyed, and to make you grow as a person, to be able to put in some sort of media these passions and these emotions and these feelings that you really need to get out of yourself, and maybe not just to share with other people, but just to really for yourself, to be
yeah.
able to express that and maybe create something that is that expression.
Yeah, we have like a compulsion to do it. Like we kind of have to make music. And so we do it because we have no choice. We have no choice.
I can't, I'm gonna die if I don't do it. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely understand that, you know. I don't play music anymore. I probably haven't in God, it's probably been 15 years since I really picked up a guitar.
Mhm.
Real quick, I quit because when I left my ex, she
Mhm.
got rid of all my equipment.
Oh,
And I was like, okay, that is that's my sign. Like
oh,
I need to not be so involved in it. So world
wow.
just changed a little bit. Yeah.
Well,
But
everybody follows their own path, and there's no, I can't demean anybody's path except for maybe white supremacists, or
right.
something like that. but
Yeah.
everybody follows their own path. And as long as you're genuine and true, and you find what moves you and what makes you feel good inside and fulfilled and successful, then you've been successful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Well
Absolutely.
and
said.
man, what you're doing right now. I mean, I can't thank you enough for, helping us to spread the word. In this day and age when we're losing venues, when it's so much harder for bands to get out there and do things, you are playing such a crucial role. I mean, I've watched your show.
Absolutely.
I've watched many of the episodes, and
Thank
the
you.
the venue and the outlet you're giving to these artists is priceless. And so, I can't encourage you enough. You are doing something tremendous.
Oh, I appreciate that more than you know. I'm not going to stop because I like talking about music all the time.
Right
Like,
on. And I taught high school for about 20 years. Some in Kentucky, some in Ohio, some in Florida, the majority of it in California. And dude, I absolutely loved going into a classroom every day and talking about literature all day long, And I couldn't believe that I was getting paid to talk about literature, all day long because
yeah,
it was so much fun. Now, the last 3 years, as with many teachers, I really began to experience burnout, because you carry so much of 180 students every semester, and all their problems and everything in the community and the pressures of the community and trying to be a paragon, because the teaching profession calls for that.
Mm-hmm. And it can be a thankless job.
And it just wears you
it
down.
is a thankless job, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I loved it, and so I can totally empathize. If you love something, you have a passion for it. If you're getting paid for it, more kudos. But even if you're not, if you're doing it, it makes you feel good, it makes you feel fulfilled and successful. That's the ticket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So much for all the good stuff. No, just kidding. Let's go back to the album. Is it it's self-titled, is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We we kicked around a whole bunch of names for that band over the couple of years that we worked on it. Every month or so, we would all throw ideas into the hat for what should we call this? We need a moniker for it. And very early in the process, I was just looking through a page on Lepidoptera, and I came across Lorquin's Admiral, and I was like, wow, that really sounds kind of cool,
Mm-hmm.
and so that went into the hat, and it stayed in the hat, and every time we would go through that dropping names in there, it remained, and at the end of it, it just seemed to fit.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, that's the name of a California native butterfly.
Hmm. The most beautiful butterfly, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It has,
That's what's on the cover, right?
yeah,
Yes.
it has such tremendous markings, and it's also for people that watch this, go out and do some research on the Lorquin's Admiral. It's a very protective and aggressive butterfly. It'll attack birds if they come towards other Lorquin Admiral. And as I
It's
was
a
saying,
tenacious butterfly, you can say.
yeah, and the markings again, I just thought they were tremendous, and my favorite color is orange, and there's orange in there, and so and it just seemed like something we could really develop into a brand, into a trademark, and into a logo, and it checked all the boxes, and at the end of the day, it just fit what we were doing.
I really enjoyed the cover.
Thank you. Yeah, I do most of, if not all, the cover art for all of our musical projects together, and so I thought that the butterfly has such this like psychedelic look to it with all of its
Mhm.
prismatic patterns that it would make just this great Mandela um cover. So that's what we wound up on.
Mhm.
It's super, super neat. I like how they're all laid out like a mandala. It's like
Yeah,
I
it's almost
stared at
like a
that for like five
psychedelic.
minutes.
Yeah, it's almost like a psychedelic portal, it transports you into the music.
And I definitely think folks should go and check out Dawn's artist page online,
Oh yeah.
because she has all the art covers, all the album covers she's done on there,
Hmm.
along with the photographs we were talking about earlier. She could even be perhaps talked into selling a print from
Oh,
there,
oh,
and also developing
sure.
covers for other bands. She's a genius artist, so can't go wrong there.
Thank you.
Yeah, not at all. Rock and roll. I'll link that in the video description. So keep it. Go get the description and check out her stuff. It's cool,
Nice.
man.
Thank you.
Um, so is there a song on the album that like sticks out to you guys as like this one calls to you more than the other ones?
I have my choice, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
let
well,
Don
I
answer.
mean, there's just a deluge of songs that I could pick from, you know.
Hmm.
But as far as like what I think people should go out and listen to right now, I think they should check out. We just put out the video for Aren't We? And it's just a very, I guess you could say it's a dark, abstract David Lynch, you know, black and white, very severe aesthetic video that I think would really be a good one for listeners to go watch.
Very nice. Very
All
nice.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Dawn's right. There's just about every song on the record has a special place with us. I think when we set out to write the lyrics and melodies for the record, um, it was kind of important to us that all the songs kind of lean towards a positive emotion, kind of a, I don't want to say, positive, uplifting message every time, because there's dichotomy in every song, and there's juxtapositions of emotions in all the lyrics. But at the end of the day, all of them, again, we wanted to steer them in positive directions. Definitely love My Blue Wife and My Blue Husband, because those are kind of our pieces to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing we set out to do when we were divvying up, deciding which of the songs she would sing and
Yeah.
I would sing.
Yeah. Those
Um,
two are like a diptych, you know, they go together and they're
mhm.
kind of like a gift exchange between the two of us.
Yeah, no doubt about
Yeah.
it. And I absolutely love the lead on Blackwater. Dave Angstrom, just see, he rips my heart out with that lead, and that song is also about my youngest daughter and some conflict that she was going through, but the ability to try to lift above that and find your way again. And Dave just played such an enormously great lead on it. So I'm going to say probably My Blue Wife, because that one means so much to me, and how I feel, my passion for my wife, and the trust and friendship and relationship that we have.
Well, then I must promote My Blue Husband then.
Copycat.
Yeah. I mean, not that it's obligatory, but
I
But
love it. I love that you pointed out the solo in Blackwater because that there's not a bad solo on the record, first off, but that one absolutely like stuck out to me as well.
bring tears to your
Um,
eyes, man. I mean,
it
the way that
yes,
guy plays, it just you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden you're kind of misty eyed, and does anybody see that I'm on the verge, or
right?
anything like
Like
that? But it's
hope no one's looking like yeah,
yeah, it could have been forever as well. That song, Angstrom's lead on that one is just so grandiose and so beautiful. He really lifted both he and Country Mark Engel, who also played on some of the songs on the record. Everything they touched on the record really kind of just lifted it to the next level.
Mhm.
Once we had the core of the album together, all the basic tracks together, I reached out to both Mark and Dave, and I said, "Hey, do you want to participate in this and pick up a few leads on it?" And they both just jumped all over it. And then you wait while they're working on it, and then that day when it arrives, and here's our tracks, and you finally listen to it, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, my heart." It just really beautiful what they did to the record, both of them.
absolutely. Like
Mhm.
the yes, they added a fantastic element. So
Mhm.
my buddy Reagan and I went to Planet Desert Rock Weekend in
Ah,
January.
Yep, that's where Isaac's going to be playing when they come over next year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
no, there you go.
Uh,
Yeah, you will get to see them.
yes.
Perfect.
So Luna Soul was playing, and I, honest to God, never like I never listened to him. I went into it blind, and when Dave and Zeth and Doug like took the stage,
Mhm.
I didn't know how much I needed that set until they started playing, and I was absolutely like gobsmacked, as they say, just
Yeah.
wow through their
Oh,
entire set. It was amazing.
I'll tell you what, man. I've been so lucky to play with such great musicians, in my life. It all started out, I started out with my cousin Pete Davidson and our friend Todd Quincy, just playing music in the basement, 14, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids go down there and smoke a joint, play the same riff for like 3 hours straight, and just have our heads blown up from that experience. But then to move from that, I had the great luck of being in a band with Greg Dooley from Afghan Wigs for a while. And while he's a very complicated individual, the songs that he would write and the lyrics that he would write um, really were eye opening, and moved me in a totally different direction. And then to be able to work with Country Mark early in my career, and then Dave Angstrom, and then John Garcia, and Pete Stahl, and Alfredo Hernandez, and Mario Lally, and all these people that have just pushed me forward and inspired me playing music along my journey. It's just a beautiful thing. And all of those people that I just mentioned have given me that same feeling that Dave gives me when he plays, that just lift you up and make you feel like you're in a totally different place. The thing that music does, maybe maybe I'm a little bit older, but the days back when I was a kid and I would get the LP and I would sit and put that on the record player and have the album cover in front of me and just drifting off into that other world. That's the beauty of and power of music.
Yep.
I know it's also got its place in elevators and department stores and doctors' offices and modern country concerts or whatever, where it becomes kind of just background noise and fuzz and stuff like that. But there's also moments in music that you find that are, man, they're up and beyond. It's like
Yeah.
heaven on earth.
That's, I one of my favorite things about like current day is the accessibility and the tangibility of like records coming back where you can do that.
Mhm.
You can just grab the put the record on, grab the artwork, and you're looking over the artwork and liner
Mhm.
notes and lyrics, and
Mhm.
it's an experience. It's so much more than just, well, I just want to listen to this song while I'm driving down the
Mhm.
road. Like, no, it's
I think that brings us kind of full circle back to Dawn's photography, and what she was saying about the print of a photograph, not just a digital shot of something, but to be able to hold that and to see the grain in the photograph and to find that focal point that is such a mystery maybe at first, but when you find it, you're just like, oh my God, that's what she was shooting for. And to just have your mind blown by that moment. That's art, man. That's
yeah,
that's you
Yeah.
walk through the Vatican Museum or through the Louvre, and you get those moments over and over again too.
Hmm.
That's the beauty of
Hmm. Yeah,
art.
it's the process of distillation and really, making an all-encompassing experience.
Mhm.
man, I fucking love this.
Mhm.
But it is, and I was saying earlier, my dad's a photographer. You walk through my house, and I've got a few of his photographs just like hanging on, and it's cool to see people like walk down the hall and catch one of his
Mhm.
photographs and stare for a minute.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
man, it's cool that you could have that tangibility, I guess, for lack of a better, term,
Mhm.
that someone can just look at, and it's not a computer screen in
Yeah.
front of them.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
yeah. Oh, Oh, I just had a friend, speaking of no computer screens, they went to one of the Santa tour with, a perfect circle and Primus and what was the other one?
Oh, damn.
Is it Puss? It's not Pussifer, is it?
I don't know.
Could have been, but I ain't gonna get it.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was whatever one's going on right now for anyone that wants to like correct me in the comments, go ahead. But she said, we go in and there's no cell phones. And to see everyone there like in the moment
Yeah,
actually enjoying the
Mm-hmm.
concert,
yeah,
it's it's so rare anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a different mindset, you know. It kind of puts your brain traveling at a certain speed, you know, shifts you into a specific gear where you have to sit and appreciate what's going around you at that very specific time, you know,
Hmm.
and place.
It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We need we
Slowing
need more.
down can be a good thing.
Yeah. God, I wish I could teach my kids that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, technology just accelerates the human experience, you know. I don't think the software, you know, in our brains can catch up, you know.
No. No, absolutely not. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, man,
Eh,
everybody, I try to catch myself when I find myself going down the road of saying, maybe that's not in my opinion, that's maybe not the best path to follow. But, as I say before, everybody, I don't want to demean anybody's path other than
right.
white supremacists and, people that mean harm and do evil. But certainly, whatever your path is, whatever makes you, you know, go and get going in the morning and makes you feel successful and complete, then that's what you should be following. And there's some people that do great work with digital photography too, and
Yeah, there's a time and a place, you know,
yeah, I agree.
when it utilizes its advantages.
But if you walk into a situation, you're like, okay, this is going to be analog, and I'm going to respect that analog moment.
Yeah,
I think
they're
that's great too.
they're two different mediums, you know,
Hmm.
and so they have their specific use cases and the advantages that make one preferable over another at different points in time.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And it's cool to like what you like,
yeah,
whatever that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Unless you're being an
yeah.
asshole and a white supremacist, then that's not cool.
I could add a
Right.
few other people to that list, but
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think we all can. Um, but be a cool person, like what you like. Don't shit on other people for liking what they like. Like
Right.
that's the I was at funny, I was at a show and I was wearing a Gojira hoodie and it was a thrash show.
Mhm.
And this guy walks in with a Deftones hoodie and he goes, man, I thought I was gonna be like the oddball. I'm like, for what? He's like, because I got the Deftones on. I'm like, you think people here don't like Deftones?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, no. It's cool to like what you like. Who gives a shit what anyone else thinks? Like,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
it's
Right.
okay.
Now
I don't
that
care.
is the message that I always try to tell my daughters when they were growing up. It sounds like dad talk here now. Who
Yeah,
cares
yeah,
what anybody thinks? You be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, and that's what so my daughter's first concert was Justin Bieber. And
Hmm.
she's like, I don't want to tell anyone. I'm like, who cares? Like
Yeah.
it
Right.
was your first concert. You went, you had a good time. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No one really cares,
Yeah.
like I gotta go to all go to whatever you want. Just go enjoy
Right.
music. Like that's what it's there
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, for sure.
Favorite so let's Dawn, what is your like number one favorite album of all time?
Oh my God.
Favorite album.
Oh my.
Well,
I get extra time to think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins, of course. That's a, you know, super high up there. I mean, that's creme de la creme. Always being played, you know, in the background somewhere. You know, I always come back to it.
Mhm.
What else? Also, the first Audio Slave album is really good. You know, every single track on there is like awesome. Those would have to be my top two. Um,
Well, he was only asking for your top.
well, there you
I
go.
mean,
There you go.
I'm okay with if you want to give more, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Dandy's like I could use some more time to really nail it
Yeah.
down
Well,
too.
I love Mona Bone Jackin' by Cat Stevens, you know, to go in a whole nother direction.
Mhm.
Folk music has always been really deep in my heart as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I gave three, now you give three.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you weren't thinking the whole time.
Yeah,
You were
yeah. I was
listening to
listening the
her.
whole time. Now I've got to like pull from some of the synapses. Um, Man, every genre has great music. Almost every genre has great music. But I always come back around to one of my favorite bands, and maybe my favorite band always would be Thin Lizzy and Bad Reputation. I love that record. I love, both the guitar players on that record, and Phil was unique and great. But then, I could say Sade, and I could name any Sade record because I'm such a huge fan of that music from the days of first starting college, and I used to be a dishwasher at a restaurant, and I would just have that going all day long in the restaurant, and she really touches my soul with her voice. She has a very unique voice where she doesn't. I won't say her range is enormous, but the inflection and the tone and the tenor and just the beauty of the message within all of her music. I love her to death.
You could pick her voice out of out of
Oh,
anyone. Like when
immediately.
she sings, you're like, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, very recognizable.
So
Yeah.
I'm going with Bad Reputation at the top, but that may change
Oh,
next week. But I do always come back to Thin Lizzy. One of my favorite bands ever.
yeah,
I
yeah. If we want to talk about like recent releases and genres that perhaps we don't always agree on, this band called Alkaline Trio, they just had a release last year. They're a punk band. Is Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, I think, was the name of the album. But pop punk or power
Mhm.
pop, whatever you want to call it, post hardcore. Um, I love punk. Sorry.
loves the punk. So I don't have any Alkaline Trio, but I got Matt Skiba's one of his
Oh,
like solo albums that I think is really good.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I don't remember the name of it for the life of me, but I
Yeah.
I randomly picked it up at a discount store on vinyl. Like we
Mhm.
walked in and it was like all this vinyl's $5, and I was like, oh, cool. Bloop, 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 bloop. Picked up a whole bunch of them, and that Matt Skiba album was in there, and I was like, man,
Mm-hmm.
this is killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you, man, punk rock music definitely changed my direction. 1983 or 84, I saw Husker Du for the first time, and that just changed me overnight. From listening to, and I not to say I don't like Duran Duran, but I was listening to like Duran Duran and all that new wave music that was coming out at that time, and then I saw Husker Du, and I was like, oh my, this is bizarrely amazing. What a band.
Yeah, that was for me. It was Nirvana that really
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
changed that trajectory. Even before Nevermind.
Hmm.
So I told you I grew up in Detroit. Well, my
Hmm.
dad was a leather worker, and that was like his side thing. Well, there's this metalhead that hung out at the 7-Eleven a block away that was like, hey, will you make me these
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like some
arm things with
gauntlets.
spikes? Yeah, like
Yeah.
uh-huh. And my dad's like, yeah, that's cool. So
Hmm.
he started turning me on to like heavy metal at a
Hmm.
real early age. I mean, we're like those first days of like Slayer and
Oh yeah.
Metallica and Iron Maiden. He's like,
Hmm.
this is where you go. And I went that route for so long. And then 89, it was years later. We hadn't talked in a year or two. I'm
Hmm.
walking through town and he's like, hey, I got this record at the house I think you'll really like. He's like, I don't really like it. All right, cool. So I go to his house and he
Mhm.
hands me this tape and it was bleach.
Mhm. I saw them on that tour as
Mhm.
well.
Wow.
Man,
They were tremendous.
Mhm.
what
Really
a
tremendous.
such a special like time in music to watch it change from this, like the popular music being like glam and
Mhm.
and such and just going like that route. Because
Yeah.
my friends, when they heard that bleach, they were like, that's the worst stuff I've ever heard. I hate it. And then Nevermind came out and they were like, this is the best band ever. And I was just
Right.
like, at least you guys are on board now. But
Yeah.
man, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Back full circle again, early 90s music. That was life altering for many, many people, for the world, musically, for sure.
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, it's really cool to watch like through the different eras of music, like the things that really take off and like
Mhm.
change the popular like trajectory of music.
Mhm.
Right now I'm having a lot of fun watching Knocked Loose. Just so they're from I'm gonna say Louisville, but they're
Mhm.
like, Louisville area
Mhm.
hardcore band and uh God, they had some video or some clip of one of their videos like go viral
Mhm.
and they blew up. So like now they went from playing, I don't know, probably 700-800 cap rooms. They're like looking at 3 to 5 thousand now,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Playing like Jimmy
Yeah.
Kimmel and
Mhm.
it's
It's
like,
nice to
man,
see a band grow like that from
Mhm.
the beginning.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
love it. Absolutely love it. Like good for them.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Every time I see them, I'm like, good for you guys. You put in the work and you're doing the thing and you are not sacrificing what you think your art should sound like.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, when does the album come out?
June 27th. Pre-sales are happening right now at Argonauta Records, and everybody will start being able to get their fingers on some vinyl here within about a month and a half. So yeah, we're super excited. I was just communicating with the fellows over in Kent earlier today, and it's like, hey, 1 month to go.
Mhm.
After working on something for a couple of years, it's always a great feeling to finally, you know, set
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're tremendously excited, and it seems like a lot of folks are genuinely into what they're hearing, and that's a good feeling too. That not only do we have the success of completing this project that we love, but a lot of people are expressing their joy with it too. So that's great. I think it's a really great summertime record too. The whole
Mhm.
vibe and feel
Mhm.
and sound of it. So it's coming right at the right time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It is um it's a beginning of summer record. Like
I think so too.
Yeah.
it's not too hot yet. You can still
Yeah.
like enjoy the windows down or top down in the Jeep or whatever and just jam out to it. Absolutely.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And the messages, like I was saying, the themes that we were shooting for are more, we try to find something uplifting, positive, glass half full, which gives it that kind of summer feel to it
Mhm.
as
Yep.
well. And we'll reserve the winter for the tragedies, but
Yeah.
this record certainly is a joyful experience, I think, for us and
Yeah.
hopefully for everybody else.
Yeah. Summary and rife with optimism.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it. I like that. Look at you. You're such a wordsmith.
Oh. Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you get with the vinyl, are there going to be different variants of it?
I don't think in the first press. I think the first press of it is all going to be on the what color is the vinyl?
I believe it was called garnet,
Garnet.
was the specific color combination we went with.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Yeah, very
everything.
warm, sunburst like. orange.
And the whole pressing, the whole first pressing is that color. I don't even think they did any black vinyl
No.
with this one. So every one is a special one.
So they really don't do a lot of black vinyl anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I've I
Why?
just yeah.
Why when there's all these colors
I think
available?
it's it's kind of got a classic look to it. I
Of
don't mind
course,
pulling out
yeah.
a black vinyl every now and then. We just reissued all the Orquesta del Desierto catalog, and that came in both colored vinyl and some black vinyl. And I thought the black vinyl was pretty cool as well. So take what we can get. Make all the vinyl you can, whatever
Make it
color.
make it all
Make
the
one for
colors.
everyone.
Like, I like what they do is like, oh, we're gonna do they take all the like the leftovers and they're like random colors.
Hmm.
People are like, what color is this? Random? I don't know.
Yeah,
Mystery color.
yeah.
Yeah. You gotta pull it out and see. Like, oh, his is more blue. Yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
surprise. Okay. Dawn, Dandy, thank you both very much for your time today. I cannot thank you enough. I have had a great time chatting with you
Same, man.
both.
Same.
Thank you, Tom. The pleasure's been ours.
What a great conversation. And again, we can't thank you enough for all that you do with your show. And I'm sure every artist you have on has that same feeling, you know.
Yes, you're providing a very important service.
So thank you. Thank you very much. And
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll talk to you again in the near future. We have a Fizz Fuzz record coming out next year. We're in the process of mixing that as well. And there's going to be a Hermano live vinyl coming out very, very soon in the fall, I believe. It'll be our performance from 2016 at Hellfest, which turned out terrifically. And I'll tell you that story next time.
Okay. Oh, you guys are playing Hellfest this year too, right?
We are. We're leaving in just a few weeks.
All right. Well, safe travels.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And
Awesome.
we'll see you around next time.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you,
You too,
Tom.
Tom.
See ya.
Bye now.